All right, so this is your course grades project. Basically, we're looking to see what 10% means as far as the value it will have, especially in your grade, which is something that's affecting you. So, in your syllabus, you're finding that you've got major quiz are 50% of your grade, which we know that changing that to a decimal will move the decimal place over 2 places and we end up with 0.5. The final's 20%. The comp exam is 10%. And remember, you either get a 0 or 100. So if you passed it, you have a 100. If you haven't, 70 or below, it's a 0 in your grade. Activities are 10%. This is one of the activities, so it'll be in that. Your daily grades, which includes your homework and attendance and such, is there. And then you get the bonus if you did the tutoring hours. So we're going to look at some what-if scenarios, and I'm going to walk you through these, and then you're going to do the second part on your own. All right. So on this, we have, what if your major quiz average is 78, your homework quiz average is 84, your comp exam was a 90, and you make a 64 on the final. The part that I realize we're missing is an activity grade. So the activity grade we are going to put at an 80. So let's say your activity is equals an 80. All right, so we're going to set this up using our decimals. So for major quizzes, it's 78. So it'll be 78 times that 0.5 plus our 84 for our homework quiz average, which is going to be 0.1, plus we pass the comp with a 90, so that means we get a 100 times 0.1, plus we have 80 on our activity grade, and activities are 10%, so 80 times 0.1, and we made a 64 on the final. And the final is a 0.2. So now we'll multiply this out. So half, because it's by 0.5, of 78 will get us 39. 10% of 84, or 0.1 times 84, will get us 8.4. 10% of 100, or times that 0.1, will get us 10. 80 times 0.1 will get us 8. 64 times 0.2 will get us a 12.8. When we add that together, we get a 78.2. So in this scenario, we have a 78.2. What if your major quiz average is a 90 and you make a 90 on the final, but you didn't complete the comp exam, you didn't do any homework or quizzes, and you missed activities? So you didn't get any of your activity grades in. So in this case, we have a 90 for our quiz average, which means we're passing the quiz average. And we get a 90 on the final. But we didn't get anything else. We didn't do any homework. We really didn't attend class very well. We didn't show up for activities. So we get a 0 on that. Well, half of 90 is going to be 45. And 90 times 0.2 will be 18. We will end up with a 63. So what this tells us is that even though we are passing our exams, if we don't come to class and do the other things like homework and that, you will not pass the class because you have to get a higher grade than that. Alrighty, so our next problem, what if your major quiz average is a 72, your homework quiz average was a 75, your comp exam was an 80, what do you need to make to pass on the final? And again, I left off the activity, so I need to add that. We're going to say we have an activity grade of a 78. All right, so our major quiz would be 72 times 0.5, plus we have a 75 on our homework, so times 0.1, plus we pass the comp with an 80, so that's 100 times 0.1, and we have a 78 for our activity grade, which is another 0.1. And we need to know what we need to make on the final. So this case, we're going to actually call that x because we don't know what it's going to be. And we're going to multiply that by 0.2 because that's how much the final is worth. So this will be 36 plus 7.5 plus 10 plus 7.8 plus 0.2x. Now we want to know what we need to make to pass a course. Well, to pass the course, we have to make a 70. But we can make a 70 or greater, so it will actually be a greater than or equal to 70. So what we're going to do is add all of these scores up, so we end up with 61.3 plus 0.2x greater than or equal to 70. So I'm going to move my 61.3 over by just doing a little bit of arithmetic here. We end up with 0.2x greater than or equal to 70 minus 61.3 is 8.7. Divide by 0.2, and we find that x is greater than or equal to 43.5. So that tells us that we need to make a 43.5 or more on the final exam. So the next step that we're looking at is coming up on the back. We need to come up with an equation in order to do the rest of the problem. So using how much the test, comp exam, daily grades, homework quizzes, activities, and the final exam are each worth, come up with an equation that would compute your average. Now it says you might want to look at your syllabus, but it's the same thing on the front of the project page we just did. So we know that major quizzes times 0.5 plus your comp exam times 0.1 plus your activity grade times 0.1 plus your daily grade, which is your homework and such, times 0.1 plus the final times 0.2. Now what you're going to do is take this equation, go to your D2L, I have updated your grades in there, so go to there, and find out what each of these are. So the homework is probably listed as your daily grade. You've got activities in there, you've got the comp exam, whether you have a 0 or 100, you have your major quiz average, and you don't know what your final is. So that one is what you're going to use. So you're going to set up everything, and then here you'll have plus your final, or 0.2. You can use that as x if you want. So you could, again, make this as 0.2x if you'd like. And then you're going to figure out what you need to make on the final to pass the course with at least a C. So you're going to set up your equation, and here you're going to make it greater than or equal to 70. This one would be greater than or equal to 80 because you're trying to make a B. And the last one will be greater than or equal to 90 for an A. That'll give you an idea of what you need to make on the final at this point in time in the class to pass the class. We still have a couple of exams to put in there, so things will change. And as you bring up your homework grade and such, this will change. This is not locked into stone. It's just for right now, and it teaches you the concept of percentages. And it shows you that if you do your homework and do some of the projects and activities that you have to do, it'll help bring up your grade.